Hello and welcome to the APMA podcast. It's your boy Lozzy, back with another solo, and I have fucked up. Gonna hold my hands up, you know. I'm not, I'm not about to drop a Doctor Disrespect fuck up on you, but look, it's really not that serious. But it is my fault that this is a solo. I've had an injury for a while now in my shoulder, in my left shoulder, and me being me, I thought I'll be all right. I'll heal. That will heal in about 5 hours. Nothing strenuous. I'll be all right. It hasn't. I've been able to train. It's getting better, but I still feel like it should be looked at. So I did ask for a doctor's slash physio appointment. A few weeks back in the NHS, being the NHS. It's only now that I've got an appointment, but I totally forgot about it. I literally totally forgot about it. I didn't even register that it was on a Thursday in the evening. So this is why I'm making this podcast beforehand on the Thursday. A little bit rushed. No one want. Probably not what you want. But you know what I mean? It is what it is. I'm just trying to get a podcast out to you guys. So yeah, that's the reason why it's another solo. I really want us to get back next week as a group because next week there's quite a lot of stuff going on. I don't know if you've been following the Euros. If you're an England fan, it's been pretty dire. Uh, Genuinely probably would have been better if we had Eric Dyer because it would have given us a bit more comedy. But yeah, it's not been great, has it? It's not been great. But I'll save that. I'll say that. Also, next Thursday, it's the big day. If you vote or you care about politics, in which I probably won't be voting, and I don't really care about politics. So yeah, but it's a big day. If you want to vote, make sure you got your ID with you, you know, got your polling card all set up. I don't actually think you need to take your polling card, so that's a complete lie. But yeah, take your ID because you do need that now, apparently. Like I said, the last general election, I didn't bother. And I probably won't this time because the choice is shit. I'd rather just not choose and just let other people fight about who's worse. Anyway, look, wherever you're listening or watching from, I hope you're having a good day. And I hope you to continue to have a good day with this podcast that you're playing in the background. Maybe you're paying attention to it 100%. Don't do it when you're driving. Disclaimer ended. Right. What we're going to be doing today. Now, it's been a hot minute since I talked about games on a podcast, a full podcast episode. If you are a member of the channel, I speak about games a lot. And you can be a member for $4.99. You get a extra podcast episode every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, not every week. Don't want to spoil you. Yeah, it's $4.99. Extra episode every 2 weeks. The next episode for the VIPs or the members goes out next week. So yeah, if you wanna join, get in, look at the backlog. There's like 40 plus episodes, member episodes, ready for you to watch at your leisure. But yeah, plug over. Stay hydrated, everyone. It's important. It's hot out there. It's a fucking nightmare out there right now. I know I've said it's cold for pretty much 5.5 months of this year, and now it's too hot. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. But today's episode, we're going to be talking about gaming, and more specifically about the games that I'm personally excited for this year. Now, I would like to add a caveat in here. I don't know for sure that all the games I'm about to talk about are actually coming out this year. I think the only one I am going to talk about, there's only one that I'm pretty sure is coming out this year. No, two. There's two. Solid. So I've got 4 or 5 lined up, and half of them aren't actually confirmed to be coming out this year, but it's heavily rumored that they will be. And it would make sense. It would make sense. But yeah, I'm going to go through those games. So stick around if you're into gaming, or maybe you just want to hear me talk some shit about games. I don't know. Whatever you would prefer. Turn it off. Fucking just leave. Fuck off if you want to. Or stay around. See what happens. Might be a good one. Might be a shit one. We don't know. Because although I am editing this, Obviously, I'll keep this in, and I'll probably keep everything in because that's what I do. That's the effort I put in, and that's the sort of editor I am. Oh, what's that? That's a bit shaky. That, yeah. Should I take it out? No, I'll keep it. That's the only you get everything here. You get everything. But yes, I'll stop fucking rambling for a couple of seconds because I need another swig of water. I can't say it enough. In this heat, stay hydrated. You honestly just stay hydrated. Don't you know? Don't overdrink. Don't drink too much water. That's not great either. But just have have enough. Have enough to survive. Oh god, cold bottled water just hits different on a hot day. For reference, I don't know if you can hear traffic outside. I am unfortunately on a main road. So I do apologize if you can hear that. I've had to open the window and I've got my fan on the maximum it could possibly be. And all I can really feel is like someone sighing on me. It's not even like a cold breeze, it's more like a lukewarm breeze. So it's just not doing anything for me, to be honest. But I'll keep it on. I'll keep it on. But anyway, gaming. Gaming. I don't know why I separated the word there. But more importantly, there's some games I'm looking forward to coming out this year. Potentially. Allegedly, possibly, maybe. Right on brand. Fucking hell. You don't get better than that. You don't. You can't even write it. So I think the best thing I can do is just start with the first game, which is called Avowed. Now I will put on screen the I guess the trailer for these, so you've got a bit of visual feedback other than me just spouting shit. I won't put the sound in because there is absolutely 100% chance of me getting copyright struck. And I'm gonna be honest, it's a bit of a risk me putting the video in without the sound, without the audio. So we'll see. We will see. Audio listeners, you're just gonna have to hope that I could somehow describe the game well enough for you to understand what I'm talking about. You know, if I don't want to describe it too well because I don't want you to get too engrossed in the podcast and then lose interest in driving. And that's a dangerous precedent. I don't want that. You know, I don't want to be the reason you've stuck your car into a ditch. I don't want to be the reason you've mowed down 5 pedestrians. Although people will probably say your extensive playthrough of GTA games is probably why you did that. And why you probably tried to get your money back from a prostitute. But that is a different conversation for a different day. Anyway, first game I'm excited about. It's Avowed. It's Avowed. Now, if you don't know what Avowed is, you guys, I'm pretty sure you would have heard at some point across one of the episodes. I love Obsidian. Now, Obsidian have made my most favorite game, if that even makes sense, my favorite game of all time, which is Fallout New Vegas. I've said it before. Will say it again. It's Fallout New Vegas. So, whenever they make a game, I'm interested, and I'm interested in Avowed. I would just like to say I will have to replay a lot of this because I think this is only a 4 minute video, and I will be probably talking about this game for more than 4 minutes. So, although there will be a bit of visual stimulation, it will be the same clips played through. But anyway, Avowed. Now, the first thing that people always will compare it to, they'll compare it to Skyrim because it looks like Skyrim ish until you see flintlock pistols. I'm all in. Fuck it, let's go. I mean, there's just such an array of things going on in this trailer, but it's not like it's not going to be that similar to Skyrim. It will have creatures, it will have monsters, it will have spells, it will have obviously hand to hand combat. And this trailer shows off pistols, like old style, like musket pistols. So there's a lot of different variation in the combat, and I see why people would assume that it's going to be like Skyrim, but I don't think it personally is. I think Skyrim was such a massive game, and one that is probably, I'd say, one of their like titles that people still play the most. Like, there's a dedicated base of people who play Skyrim today, and it came out in 2011. Jesus Christ. Um, but Obsidian are, in my opinion, just better and maybe the best at making characters in RPGs, role playing games. Their role playing elements are better than, I would consider better than pretty much the rest. I think a lot of their games are just perfectly built for me. Like, I love the variation in combat environments, and most importantly for RPGs, you gotta make it so when you play it through again, it can be totally different in terms of, even if it's just like speech, like the speech choices you have, or like the conversations you have with NPCs. I think Obsidian do it better than anywhere else, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But I like the fact that they are distancing. That still doesn't sound right. Distancing themselves away from Skyrim, because a lot of people will just think it is a version of Skyrim, which it isn't. Which it isn't. It's more like if you've played the previous game, The Outer Wilds, not The Outer Wilds, The Outer Worlds. There is a game called The Outer Wilds, which is totally different. But The Outer Worlds, I actually really enjoyed, and they've said it will be similar to that. Obviously, different setting. I will admit, this is in the Pillars of Eternity world and lore. I know fuck all about Pillars of Eternity. I've I've never played a game. I've never read anything about it. I know the name, and I can't even say it that well. But then I can't really read that well. So I will give myself a pass on that one. But yeah, I'm really excited. I think the combat looks cool. The variation of the magic. It's a really small thing, but I like the whole idea of them having to. It's stupid, really, but I love the idea of them having to recite a spell from a book to then cast it. If that's what's happening in the trailer, um, I think this game, if it is a lot like the Outer Worlds, which they've said that's what they'd compare it to, you're probably looking at about 30 to maybe 45, 50 hours to complete it. If you are like me, looking around every nook and cranny, just looking for random stuff, collectibles, different weapons, looting and shit. I mean, I loot fucking everything. So if you're like me, it's probably going to be towards the 45, 50 hour mark to finish the game. But I think that's a good medium for them to be in. I think if this game was too big, I think people would probably lose interest in it, because there's a lot of games coming out between when this is rumored to come out and when it will actually come out. So they accidentally dropped the release date in a online listing for the game, which was the 12th of November this year. It's now removed. It's now removed. But yeah, it's I feel it would be strange for them to put the date out and then remove it. But then part of me is like, well, if they removed it straight away, then it's probably not coming then. I don't know. But I would expect the game to come out towards the end of this year. And I think November would probably be an okay time to release it. But yeah, I like the variation of the environments, enemies. The combat looks quite cool. The combat in the Outer Worlds was good. Obviously, it's going to be different because there's not as many firearms in this game. because of the universe and the sort of time period that this is kind of based in, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it looks cool. And I really can't wait for it to be out to try it. It's on Game Pass, so if you, really don't need to sell Game Pass to you that much anymore. I would get in if you're looking for a game specifically, and you know it's coming out on Game Pass. Just fucking wait until it's on Game Pass. Get Game Pass and get it for cheaper. See what you think. If you don't like it, cancel your subscription. If you do like it, there's probably a lot of games coming out in the next year from here till next year that are going to be on Game Pass that you might like. So I think it's a good investment. Whether you think it's good for gaming is a completely different question. But anyway, that is avowed. That is avowed. I'm very excited for that game. Obsidian are just top level, in my opinion. Top level. Even down to like things like comedy in games. I remember in Fallout New Vegas, it was just one random encounter, and it only happens if you do a specific thing, which not a lot of people probably would have just done. But I can't exactly remember where it is in the game, but on New Vegas there's like a monument or some sort of statue or a stone with people's names engraved on it. And they're people who had died in a conflict or a war um for a faction in the game. I think it was the NCR. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. Who it is doesn't really matter. But it was a monument, and if you shot at it, it then triggered a NPC to run up to you and say, "What the fuck are you doing? Why are you shooting at this monument? My brother died in that war." And it's such a random thing for them to have gone. Do you know what? If they just shot, if the player decides to shoot this memorial, shall we then make something happen with an NPC? They literally run up to you and they say, "What the fuck are you doing? My brother died in this war. Why are you shooting this?" And then you have the option to antagonize. It's just brilliant. You have the option to antagonize that person and say, "Fuck you, your brother's a pussy," or something along those lines. And then that would trigger him to try and kill you, and you kill him, obviously, or you die. Those are the two scenarios. Um, it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that that Obsidian just, in my opinion, they put that in their games, and that makes elevates it for me. I know it's a very small thing, and a lot of people just go, "That's bullshit. I'd rather have better graphics. I'd rather have, more array of weapons. I'd rather have a longer playtime in the game." But it's like that sort of stuff for me. Just when I see something that makes me laugh and it isn't shit, like I'm not laughing because the game's broken. I'm laughing because they intentionally put something in the game that's funny. I appreciate that. And I think, that rings true through all their writing, to be honest, and a lot of their characters and a lot of their storylines. But yes, Avowed may be coming out in November. It was the 12th of November before they absolutely pulled a 180 and took the date down. Could it be coming out later? Who knows? But either way, I'm excited for it. I will always be excited for an Obsidian game drop, especially an RPG focused game. Another thing to mention, although I don't know if they actually showed it in that trailer I had up, third person view is available. I've definitely seen that. I mean, I'll say 99%. I'll go the full Dettol, right? Dettol say 99.99% of germs. 99.99% there's a third person view, third person camera. So if you're like me, I usually swap from third person into first person when I'm going into a building. Don't know why. I just feel like being enclosed it's better being in first person. And I like to, when I'm out in the open, third person I think is better. But if you're one of those people, because I know in their previous game, The Outer Worlds, there was no third person option. So if you didn't like the first person view, fucking hell, then you were out of luck, I'm afraid. But in this game, it will be there. Like I said, 99.99% because that's a disclaimer. Do you know what I mean? So the next game, this one is one that I've been following for a long, long time. I think a lot of people have, to be honest. Now they have been impacted a lot uh, by no fault of their own, really. Um, it's Stalker 2. Now, Stalker 2's got a very interesting story. When I say story, I mean how the game has been affected by the Ukraine and Russian war. So they were making this game for several years, or probably more than that, actually, quite a few years before the war fully like took off and development stopped. Obviously, it's probably not a great environment to be making a game in whilst you're getting shelled. So they stopped development of the game. They moved, obviously, they moved their base of operations. Then had to set everything up. You can just imagine the logistical fucking nightmare that would have been. Not only would that have been a nightmare if you were moving like a studio from a place that isn't war torn, isn't shell to fuck, isn't getting bombarded by bullets and artillery and whatever fuck else, drones, right? But imagine trying to move shit under military operations. It just boggles the mind. So this game's been delayed quite a few times, but we're finally. This is one of the ones that does have a release date, but fuck, I don't even know. It's in September. It's in September. Let me see if I can find out when it is actually coming out. September the 5th. It comes out on September the 5th. I've saved myself. So this one's called Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. And I'll put the footage on screen for everyone, obviously, who's watching to see this. Again, people listening, you just have to deal with me explaining it. So it's a first person shooter, first of all. This is actually a trailer from about 3 years ago. So I don't know if everything that's in this trailer is going to be in the game because, again, a lot of stuff would have had to have been changed or maybe halted, taken out for time restraints. But this gives you a general idea of what the sort of, I would say, the feeling and the tone of the game is like. So it's a first person shooter, um, post apocalyptic setting. It's very inventory intensive. And what I mean by that is you will be managing your inventory a lot, but then most of the games that I play involve some sort of management of your resources, which I genuinely get stressed out about. Like, what do you mean I can't pick that up and have that at the same time? Great. Now you're going to make me have to choose. I don't want to do that. But in this, you'll be fighting humans, creatures, anomalies, which is a thing that is so interesting about the Stalker games. Is you're trying to find out what is happening with these anomalies. I remember playing the first two or the first three games, but it was modded into one. I can't remember what it was called, but it was difficult. The game was difficult. So I expect this to be the same. I don't expect this to be, your standard, taking like 55 rounds to the chest and being able to, bandage yourself up within 2 seconds. This is going to be hard. And I think that is good because it gives an air of realism to the game. Although that probably will drive certain people away if it's too hard, but I would prefer that it's harder rather than easier. Whether they could just, you know, adjust the difficulty settings as like part of the game, I don't know. But it looks fantastic. The gunplay looks really good. Um, and I just think it's a really interesting story about how the game has still survived a war and is due to be coming out on the 5th. I mean, it's coming out on Game Pass again. So if you got Game Pass, just give it a fucking go. See what you think. If you think it's shit, delete it and move on. You're not you're not losing that much with this, in my opinion. I think this is a great choice for one of the Game Pass games. This is one of the ones that I feel like could do quite well on Game Pass. It's got some horror tension-ish elements in it again, which is something I like. I don't like games that just give you nothing but jump scares. Fuck me off. So stuff that builds tension and there's a payoff, like a tangible payoff, is something that I really look forward to. It's a very, very pretty game. I think it's going to be a very interesting one because there is a question about whether the game's scope is too big, but we'll see. We'll see. A good, you know, I don't really know if there is a good comparison with Stalker because I've never played a game like it. And it quite possibly will be the same way with this game. But I am very, very interested in the game and I've been following it for a long time and I can't wait for it to come out. And I guarantee when I do play it, I will be dying a shit ton because that is just the way it goes. But look, some of the weapons, man. What is that? It's like a electric launcher. Fucking, I'm so in for that. I'm so up for it. I will just point out again, this is 3 years old, this footage. So, and I don't know if this is representative of the gameplay. I tend to think it's probably not. It's not actual gameplay. It's probably, pre-rendered, all that sort of shit. But even the latest trailer, it looked, in my opinion, it looked good. Again, I'm not someone who, you can see how old it is because you've got the old release date on there, 28th of April, 2022. Definitely did not come out then. Definitely not because the war was in full swing by like March, February of 2022. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good game, and I'm very interested in the setting of it. Is totally my thing. I'm in post-apocalyptic. Get me there. I'm in. So, Stalker 2 out on Game Pass, 5th of September. Give it a go. Give it a go. If you don't have Xbox or a PC, then you're fucked. I do apologize. I have got a game coming up that is coming out on all platforms that I'm interested in. So just don't just think I'm selecting games for Xbox, but this is the only console I have. I have PC and an Xbox Series X. So that's that's me. That's me. All right. Go take a swig of my Yorkshire Vale spring water because, I ain't got a brand deal or Morrison's, but, hit a guy up. Do you know what I mean? Oh, God, that's crisp. But I do like a cold water on a hot day. I will say the fan is still just spewing at me lukewarm sighs, just a constant sigh. Like, it's not great. It's not great, but it's better than just sitting here in unbearable heat. So I can't complain too much. I can't complain. So the next game. What's the next game, I hear you say? This is one that will be coming out on all platforms. It's one I am excited for, but I must say, I am getting a bit fucking fatigued with this franchise. And I think a lot of people will feel the same. I don't think my views on this will be that radical. Star Wars Outlaws. It's what the two concerns I have about the game. One, I feel like a lot of people are now completely fatigued with Star Wars. Two, as much as I respect Ubisoft, I personally am not a fan of them having the license to make Star Wars games. but I may be proved wrong. They might make an absolute banger of a game. I am still gutted about Star Wars 1313, which was like a story-driven third-person action game. That was cancelled ages ago. So I've been waiting for a sort of one to take the mantle. We've had a lot of disappointing Star Wars stuff, whether it be TV shows, films, games. I mean, to be fair, the Jedi series, Jedi Survivor, I think was the latest one that came out. People did think that was quite a good game. So, but it was made by a different company. So, this is Ubisoft making a Star Wars game. This is Outlaws. You play as a bounty hunter. I think it's a bounty hunter. Bounty hunter. I think her name's Kay. You players, but I have my reservations because I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. A lot of Ubisoft games have, cut and paste elements. Like, there's good gameplay in something like Far Cry 5. I enjoy to a certain degree, right? But it's the fucking liberating outposts, man. Just do something different, or try something different. So I really hope that this game doesn't include that same level of repetitive things. Like, do I have to go and do the very same thing 100 times to open up 100 areas of the map? Do I have to do this the very same things continuously over and over again? But then people will probably just come at me and say, well, you get that in Bethesda games, you get that in other games. So I recognize, like, there are games that still do it that I like, that do that. But I feel like Ubisoft uses them egregiously. Like, if you spent all your time in Far Cry 5 liberating outposts, and that's what you played the game for, I don't know what to say to you. I don't. But it's not something that I would enjoy. The plus side of this game, because there are a lot of plus sides. It looks pretty fucking good. Graphically, it looks good. I think the one thing combat wise that I'm concerned about is lack of stealth. There are stealth sections in the game, they've said, but it seems like the only thing that you can do stealth wise is go up behind them and, like, either choke them out or, like, knock them out. There doesn't seem to be any other way to approach it, which is fine if the combat holds up. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with combat in Ubisoft games. I feel like the Assassin's Creed combat started off really good. Like, I really enjoyed it. Then it kind of went a bit shit. And then with Far Cry, like, it was fun. It was fun again. And now with this game, we'll see. We'll see. I know that she has some sort of blaster that has different sort of, what's the word? Different damage types, different. I want to say it's not really different weapon, because she changes something on the weapon to fire like electric rounds or standard blaster rounds or fire rounds, something like that. And you can use that to enable you to get through different doors by finding something that needs to have electric shot at it to work a door in the other corner. That sort of stuff, almost like puzzly sort of stuff, which is fine. I appreciate you can play levels differently or traverse differently. Um, the ship combat looks a bit. I don't want to say cartoony, because that doesn't really do much or explain much, but it looks very, very, very different to what Starfield portrayed. This is very quick. You know, you're doing barrel rolls. You're firing very quickly at enemies. Whereas Starfield was much more measured, much more slow combat. I can't really say I prefer one over the other. I did enjoy the space combat to a certain degree in Starfield. I would probably edge slightly towards the fast paced stuff, but it depends how it's executed. Because in this, it looked okay, but we only get one look at it. I'm sure they'll have another showing of the game before it comes out in August. When does this game come out exactly in August? August the 30th. Now they are doing that fucking really shitty um pre-order bonus, where if you get the highest tier version of the game, if you pre-order the highest tier version of the game, um you get it 6 days early, so you could potentially play it on the 24th, but you would have to pay 120 quid, and you basically get like another mission or another series of missions and some cosmetic items. So what you're really paying for is the 6 days early access. You do you. You do you. I mean, I can't really talk. I paid for early access of Starfield, but I paid like 30 quid. I know I bought the Constellation Edition, which is behind me there, but that's separate. That's like a collector's piece. Like, I haven't even used the game code in that. So yeah, it's it's one of them. If you really want to play it, I understand you want to buy the highest tier version. I think you do get it. I think you do get it early if you buy the one below the highest tier, but I'm not sure if you get it exactly the same time. Um, so yeah, but there are things about this game that I think look really good. I like the fact that you can utilize I forget what they're called, a speed bike. I'm going to call it a speed bike, even though I don't think that's what they're called. I think the environments look good. I think graphically the game looks good. My one concern is really stealth. And it does boggle me slightly, because if one game really should have had stealth in it about Star Wars, it probably would have been a game about a bounty hunter. Um, but there we go. Especially from a company that is famous for creating a massive stealth defining game or series of games like Splinter Cell. By the way, just do another Splinter Cell, please. Please. I know you'll probably say there's not a demand for it, but I would like it. Just as a nostalgia thing. So just please make one. That's an Ubisoft game I will get behind, you know? But this section here, I mean, for me, it doesn't really do much. You've got a companion. I think the companion is called Nyx. It's a little alien, cute alien thing, which is like very, very Star Wars. You know, there's a long list of things or companions in Star Wars that are deemed cute. So this is a very natural progression. But these stealth elements just look exactly the same as what you'd see in Far Cry. So yeah, I would just like to point out also, and I think they did actually do it. I will go back in here. I don't want to like go too deep into this, but a lot was made at the time, and I'm going to be back in Starfield right now, so I'll pause this. Right, I'm going to be back in Starfield just in this scenario. Loading screens. Although this does not cut away for a full loading screen, this is not seamless, and this is technically a loading screen. What you're about to see. The big complaint with Starfield was, okay, you pick what planet to go to, cutscene, and then you're outside the planet. You pick where you want to go on the planet, cutscene of you landing on the planet. This is the fucking same, but it happens dynamically. Like the loading screen is you watching the ship go through a series of clouds and atmosphere, and then it loads in the elements. So watch this, and I will have to describe it to the audio listeners, but I feel like I probably already did. So the ship is approaching the atmosphere. Now, when you see the clouds, that is when the loading screen, that's when it's happening. That's when it's happening. Now it's loading in elements, it's loading in data into your view. It's not done yet, takes several seconds, and there we go. You're in. So I would just like to say that is a loading screen, although it does a very good job of making it not look like a loading screen. So fair play, fair play. It'd be interesting to see how much customization you can do on things like the ship and your character. Like, can you customize weapons? Can you primarily use entirely different weapons? You can pick up. It is possible to pick up different weapons, and you'll be using your companion Nyx. I will call it Nyx, even though I don't even know if it is 100% the name of the companion, the little alien cute thing. You'll be using the companion a lot. Like you can ask it to collect stuff for you. You can ask to distract an enemy, much like you could do on other Ubisoft games. Um, so that is a very familiar thing. But I would like to see how deep the open world aspect of this game is, because I want to see how deep the cities and the settlements are, and I want to see how open world this is, because it looks very largely open world. But if there's nothing to do, it's going to have the same criticism of Starfield, in my opinion. I don't know much about the story of this. I don't even really know what part of the story, like the timeline of Star Wars, this fits in between. Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Again, there'll be people who are much more clued up on it than me. I'm just giving you a general breakdown of what I think is good and not so good about the previews of the game. It's interesting that they haven't focused too much on the ship, which tells me that it's probably just a vehicle to get you to A and B. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm overlooking it. Maybe I'm assuming stuff. I don't know. But I'm still excited for it. I will just say this game, if it doesn't hit, I will be just taking a break from Star Wars. Like the last thing that I enjoyed Star Wars wise was The Mandalorian. And even that towards the end, although it was still gripping me, it was still good to a certain degree. It was just too much. I feel like it's a franchise that has just been milked with needless things, like needless TV shows, needless spin-offs, and it's lost that little bit of, I guess, magic. But I could be wrong. There could be a lot of people who just absolutely love everything Star Wars has come out. So fair play. If you're one of those people, you'll probably like the game. Fuck it. August 30th, that comes out. 120 quid if you want to play it 6 days early, which is steep. But yeah, that is coming out this year. August, not too far away. What are we now? The 27th of June. So, in a couple of months, you'll be there. You could be playing this if you paid 120 quid, of course. The last game that I want to show you footage from is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, is what the game's called. I feel like Indiana Jones is one of those sort of franchises that hasn't been shown a lot of love in terms of, well, additional films. One, because I haven't seen the newest one, but the Crystal, is it this? Crystal Skull one, the one with Shia LaBeouf in it. He might even be in the latest one. I don't know. But that was awful. Like that was shit. That was really bad. Really bad. It needs a good game, and I feel like this is shaping up to be quite an enjoyable game. Can't say much about it because I've only seen snippets of gameplay. Obviously, I haven't played it. It's just going to be one of those ones you're like, okay, you're going to have to suck it and see. Um, Again, coming out on Game Pass. This also is one of the ones that is rumored to be coming out this year. I think it would do well to come out this year, towards the end of the year, maybe even in December, as like a holiday game. And I think Indiana Jones is kind of synonymous, at least in this country, for that sort of period. Like, I remember growing up, it was always on at Christmas. Like every single Christmas, you guarantee there's either an Indiana Jones film or, you know, a really nice like family film. Avengers, I remember watching that at Christmas, like I want to say like 10 years ago. I think it came out in 2011 or 2012, first Avengers film. And I was like massive back then. It was on terrestrial TV. And I think it was on Boxing Day or something like that. But yeah, I was like, oh, that's mental. I never saw it at the cinema. I'm going to watch it on TV. But I feel like Indiana Jones, I don't know if this is right, but I always feel like it's on at Christmas. I just feel like it is. But anyway, I feel like that'd be good time to release the game. Sort of not exactly over Christmas, but in December sometime. And it's shaping up pretty well in my opinion. I think they are capturing a lot of what made the original three films cult classics. I will apologize if you just heard the absolute fucking phenomenal knobhead who decided to rev the fuck out of his fucking scrambler bike outside. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. I love Indiana Jones, the first three films. Don't get me wrong, and I do think this has been crying out for an action orientated game because you can't really make an Indiana Jones without it involving action and over the top action at that. It's got comedy, it's got action. What more do you want? And I'm interested to see that Todd Howard, who is as you can see there, the executive producer of this game, also Todd Howard is basically I don't want to say the driving force because there's a lot of other people involved, but he's like the figurehead of Bethesda games who have made Skyrim, Fallout 4, Fallout 76. Although it is doing a lot better now. So if you're coming into it and you want to get into Fallout and you've seen the TV show and you're like, why have they not done more with this franchise? 76 is pretty much your only go-to right now, unless you want to go back and play the classics of Fallout 3. And in my personal opinion, the fucking go Fallout New Vegas, which wasn't made by Bethesda, but we won't go into that. We won't go into that. So it's interesting to see him as the executive producer on a game that has nothing to do with either Elder Scrolls, Fallout. Those two just seem to eat up a lot of time in Bethesda's sort of schedule. I mean, fucking hell. We haven't had an Elder Scrolls since, well, I'm not counting Elder Scrolls Online. That does not count. Since 2011. It's now 2024. And we're not expecting to see Elder Scrolls 6 until another 2 years, maybe. I don't know. But this looks good. I'm excited for it. I think I don't know who the voice actor is of Indiana Jones. People have been saying it's Troy Barker or Troy Baker. I don't know what's his name, Baker or Barker. Either one. He has done so many very good voice acting roles for games. He's probably most memorable to my memory is Joel. in The Last of Us, and interestingly, was played a character in the TV show for about 5 minutes. Is nice little nod to him though, anyway. But he does a very good Indiana Jones Harrison Ford. Um, it's not exactly, but it's enough where you're like, oh shit, that could be Harrison Ford. But yeah, you got Nazis, artifacts, action, whips, shooting. It just looks quite fun, and I'm excited to see what they do with the music as well, because Indiana Jones is synonymous for everything action wise, comedy or comedic moments. It's not necessarily a comedy, I get it, but music is such a big part of the Indiana Jones brand. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do with the music. But it's one of them games where you're like, again, it's coming out on Game Pass, so why wouldn't you fucking get it? It's one of them. It could be really quite good. It could also be pretty meh, or it could be total shite. I know I've covered all the bases there, but the thing is, the way that Xbox in particular are marketing these games is to say, like, it's going on Game Pass to give you the opportunity to try it. And if you don't like it, there's no immediate punishment. I will say, by the time this comes out, well, by the time this is rumored to come out, Call of Duty will have already been out and on Game Pass. I do not expect Game Pass to be the same price at the turn of the year. I really don't. Like I don't foresee a price not stagnation. I don't feel like the price is going to be the same. It's going to be at least £2 to £3. I would expect more per month. But crucially, try the game, try the games. They're all pretty close together. So even if you only play Stalker 2, Avowed, Indiana Jones, if they all come out when they're meant to come out, which is from now until the end of 2024, those are 3 games that are coming out on Game Pass. You will have spent, even on the top tier of Game Pass, which I am subscribed to, which is 12 or £13 a month. You're looking at about 50 to 60 quid for those months. But then you get, I would say, 100 and what? So games retail for like 60 quid now? What, 60 quid for Avowed, £60 for Stalker 2, and then 60 quid for Indiana Jones. So what's that? 180 quid? You've got them for 60 quid. It pans out better for you in terms of pricing. Where it really becomes a kicker is if there is an absolute stinker period where fuck all games come out that are decent for months on end. That's when, you question the value of Game Pass, or when they absolutely spike the price. But anyway, back to Indiana Jones. I'm excited for it. I think it looks quite good. Some people have said it looks a bit iffy. I don't see that. I think it looks really interesting. Be interesting to see what puzzles are like in the game. Because it needs to hit a sweet spot, in my opinion. They can't be too difficult. It can't be too difficult where every single one you're having to go to online articles to find out what the fuck to do. Also, it can't be too easy. So it's a hard balance to strike. But they will be, in my opinion, essential for an Indiana Jones game. Needs to be a bit of figuring out how to get into doors, how to get past ledges. I think also the whip has been shown off a lot in this advert. I don't want them to be over reliant on the whip. Like, I don't want it to become like the fucking sonic screwdriver for Doctor Who, which is one of the reasons why I don't like Doctor Who. There are other reasons. I just don't, it doesn't vibe with me because it would seem, and it might be different for the different Doctor Who's, different eras of Doctor Who, but it seemed like whenever there was a problem, the sonic screwdriver would sort the bastard out. So I can't get through this door. It's been locked. There's no key. There's no way we can open the door. Stand back. I've got a sonic screwdriver, fam. And then the door will open like that. That to me is shit. You can't spend 5 fucking minutes of exposition telling me how fucking difficult it is to get through this door, and some fucking wanker turns up with a fucking green flashlight, goes, there you go, it's open. But yeah, I think a lot, I will go back to Indiana Jones, but I think a lot of the game will be focused on cutscenes because it's an Indiana Jones film. There has to be an element of sort of a film-ish experience alongside what you're playing. That was made evident by the latest showing of the game, which was at the Summer Showcase, the Xbox Summer Showcase, which I live streamed, which is still available. You can go and watch that. Where they showed a basically full fucking 10-minute cutscene from the game. Obviously, I would assume now that the game is very centered and focused on those cutscenes and the cinematics, which is fine. It's a film franchise being made, or a game being made based on a film franchise. What the fuck? Just do it. Let's go. See how it goes. But I think it's going to be interesting because Machine Games, they had a bit of a swing and a miss when they created. I think they're responsible for the latest Wolfenstein game, which didn't go down too well. But they look like they've, aesthetically anyway, they look like they've sorted this game. Not that there was aesthetically problems with Wolfenstein, but I mean they've captured what I would consider the essence of Indiana Jones. And what I remember seeing from the films, I think they've actively and very well portrayed in the visuals that we're seeing. Unfortunately, the people who are listening to this will not be seeing that. But if you can, and if you're willing, come back and watch it. Come back and watch it. They've also focused a lot on the mocap, like the motion capture. So again, really pushing into the realism of movements, the cutscenes, the cinematics. The only thing I will say is I'm a bit worried about the whip. I don't want it to become a sonic screwdriver. I really don't. I'm not saying he's going to be opening doors with a whip, but you know, if there's no guns in the game, apart from like the scripted sequences where you saw he was on a gun on a plane as like a rear gunner, you need to have other weapons in the game. You need to. I want to be able to relive that scene where someone's challenging him to a sword fight, and he's like, you know, swinging his sword around, doing all this like posture and stuff, and then Indy just shoots him. That's fucking fantastic. That's exactly what made the series fun and funny. So that needs to be captured. But it does look like at least they've done well capturing the tone and the scenes in the game. To what my knowledge or my memory of Indiana Jones was like, I feel like they've replicated that well. So it's another one I'm interested in. Again, that is meant to be coming out this year. It could be delayed. It could be pushed into 2025. But I feel like it's, I don't know. I feel like December's a good time to get that game to come out. If it's ready, put it out. I really do feel that is the best scenario. The other game I was going to talk about, but I feel like I've already talked about it quite a lot, especially on the live stream, of the Xbox Game Showcase I did like at the start of the month is Black Ops 6, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Be very interesting to see how the Omni movement works, which is their version of basically more elements in the movement in terms of like you can roll over and in the prone position, you can dive and spin around and fucking, jump around, get up and get down. You know what I mean? Um, it would be interesting because I feel like although that is something that really I didn't really think about needed to be in a COD game. I was like, I understand why that would be a bonus. There's a couple of things they did do the classic take them away for like 4 or 5 years and then add them back in as like these new masterful creations and you know like the theater editor mode where you can go through your played latest matches on multiplayer and look at performance and edit it and cut it. That was in the game. That was in one of the Black Ops games. I think it was Black Ops 1 or 2. I can't remember. But you could do that. That was already a feature in the game. Took it out for like 4 or 5 years and then add it back in. Um, so yeah, they all do that to be honest. But it'll be interesting to see how that kind of pans out because that is at first it's going to be a card game on Game Pass. Like I said, expect the price of Game Pass to go up in anticipation or after that Call of Duty game comes out because there's no way they're going to keep it the same. They're just piling all these games into Game Pass, losing all the money from sales of those games that they would have got, especially Call of Duty if it hadn't been on Game Pass. So yeah, expect the price to go up. That's all I can really say. But yeah, those are the games I'm excited for. Avowed, Stalker 2, and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, all coming out on Game Pass. It's really worth you just if you've got an Xbox or a PC, it's just worth you getting them on Game Pass. Instead of paying 180 quid for all them all separately, just pay 60 across what 4 or 5 months, 6 months, and I think it's a better deal. If financially, it's just a better deal for you. And the Star Wars Outlaws, we'll see how that one pans out. But again, if you want to play that, that's like 60, 70 quid minimum. Do I? I probably will play it, but I want to see more of it before I decide where I'm going to invest money in it. That's another positive of Game Pass. I have it. I know I'm going to keep it, so I don't have to worry about it. Like, just get the game. If it's shit, you don't like it, delete it. Um, like I said, whether it's good for gaming or not is a completely different, you know, subject to conversation. But I do think it's good value. I do think it's better value for a customer, for a gamer than just having to buy all the games outright with your hard-earned money because now they're like 60, 70 quid. I remember when I used to go to college a long time ago, right? College, I was at college from 2010 to 2012. I remember games new would be like 30 quid. But and I used to get what they called EMA payments, which is basically payments for staying in higher education. Don't do that now. Unlucky. Um, 30 quid a week. You got 30 quid. I think it was 30 quid a week. It was either 30 quid a week or 30 quid a month. But I think it was 30 quid a week. I was absolutely buzzing. I was like, fucking, do you know what that means? New game every fucking week. I had surplus money because there weren't enough games for me to buy 30 quid's worth of a week. I was like, fuck, I'm raking it in. I was basically on the dole at college and it was a good life. It was good. For a gaming standpoint, I ate well. But yeah, exciting time for gaming in the next 6 months. You got 4, maybe 5 with Call of Duty there, games that I'm looking forward to and I think will be or shaping up at least to be looking really good. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for watching. I could do say I do appreciate you for sticking around. And I hope you enjoy it, you know. Let us know down in the comments. What are you looking forward to? What games are you looking forward to? What ones you're not looking forward to? What do you think of the 4 or 5 that I picked here? And let us know, because I'll reply to as many as I can. Of what I'm literally about to do now is finish this recording and go and reply to a bunch of comments on the last podcast episode, because I'm sure there'll be a few about my opinions on food. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Up the APMA. Bye bye for now.